Welcome. What is your name?
Morgan Veldhuizen.
I should refer to you as Morgan throughout the whole interview, right?
Yeah, Morgan is good.
All right. Thank you for being here. Would there ever be a time that you would be upset if someone asked what pronouns you use?
No, I don't think so. I like that question.
Okay. What pronouns do you use or accept?
I use he, she, they, them.
Okay. How long have you used those pronouns?
I used she exclusively until I started doing drag, which is in January. So it's been like 6 months where I've used he, him, and they, them.
Okay. So I think we can say that that's pretty new. Are there specific times or places that you would prefer certain pronouns?
If I'm in drag, then I prefer he.
Can you say always?
I'm not gonna be upset if someone calls me she, like people do it. And I'll never ever be upset with they, them. I love they, them.
So are there specific times where you prefer she, her pronouns?
I mean, I guess if I'm really femmed up, but it's not so much that I prefer it, it's just that it's everybody's natural inclination, and I agree.
Or for the rest of your life, if no one ever called you she, her, would that bother you?
Yes.
Okay. Because I want to try to connect with the fact that you say that you do accept all the pronouns. So the question is like, would you say that you lean more one way or the other, or can you say that you're now leaning more towards they, them, and that's where you feel more connected to?
I feel in general that they, them is where I lie on my day-to-day basis and how I present myself and where I'm feeling like with my gender. But I would never want to lose she, her, because she, her has so much power and it means so much to me that, yeah, I would be sad if I lost that.
You've talked about doing drag. Is that where he, him pronouns came from, or was it the other way around?
No. I did drag to try it, and I am a dancer, and I love drag, and I want to fuse the two worlds of drag and choreography, but I did not do drag because I was questioning my gender. Actually, I always say I was feeling really right with it. I was never feeling incomplete with feminine pronouns. I never felt uncomfortable with that, as some people do. I love feminine pronouns, but it's kind of like finding a new room in your house that you didn't know existed. And now I'm like exploring all of this. It's more like a Pandora's box type of situation.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your journey to using the pronouns that you do? Maybe you can talk about your childhood and any time that you would have questioned gender and what has led you to now, and maybe also, since this is so new, maybe think about where you might be going as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's only been as of recently that I've looked back on my childhood in terms of gender, because I just accepted she, her and was comfortable with that and loved it. But specifically in regards to my chest, because binding is very relieving to me socially. Developing my body was something that was a little bit stressful for me, and I would say that is definitely derivative of the social, just society, how I have to communicate socially.
With binding, you're saying that how much it actually means something to you right now in your life. How much do you feel that relates to gender?
I think that when I hear some people speak about being they, them, or being gender non-binary, they say that they're genderless, which I appreciate and respect and love. But for me, it feels more like being gender full. So binding makes me feel like a woman and a man and just a person. It does have to do with gender because it neutralizes me, but it doesn't necessarily make me feel more masculine or more feminine. There was a couple weeks where I was like, would I consider top surgery? Is that something that would be right for me, and like, can I still be a woman and not have breasts? Certain things are very feminine and certain things are very masculine, and that all makes me feel more like myself.
Because I think what we're doing right now, this is different than usual for the project, because what we're doing is we're talking about your discovery, and like it's happening right now.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So I asked you before if there would ever be a time if you would be upset if someone asked your pronouns. How much responsibility do you think should be put on yourself to tell people the pronouns that you prefer, or for other people to ask you?
I think it's on everybody. Like, it's on me to ask somebody else their pronouns, and it's on you to ask me my pronouns if you're not sure. It's just about being respectful.
Okay. Your name, Morgan. Have you always gone by Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. So what does your name represent to you? I'm sure you've seen in this project that there's people who have changed their name. There's people that go by different names at different times. So what does your name represent to you, and what thoughts have you had on that?
Really glad. For me, it feels very gender neutral. It doesn't seem like a boy's name to me, and it doesn't seem like a girl's name to me. So I'm relieved that I did get a name that was gender neutral, and I feel that it fits me.
If you had to list 10 things in your life that you think about the most, or that might be the most important to you, where would your gender identity fit in? So 10 would be it's the thing that you think about the most, it is the most important.
Right now, it's definitely something I think about, probably one of the most. I think my family is definitely up there, like family and love. Choreography is probably the thing that I think about the most. But like next to that, right now, for me in my life, I'm thinking about gender like all the time.
Can you tell me the difference between, or can you tell me how you identify more towards one of these descriptions? Non-conforming, gender non-binary, gender neutral, transgender. Where do you feel that you relate mostly to? Where do you feel like you're going?
I identify with all of those words. It's funny because I had an ex kind of confront me about my boy pictures online, and they said how it was uncomfortable for them to have to over-explain who I was to their work friends, and how my pictures made them look like they were dating a transgender person, and how that's not true because they see me as a woman. And my first reaction is, well, you did date a transgender person. And although I don't consider myself transgender in the sense that I want to completely transition my gender, I do transition my gender on a pretty day-to-day basis. So the word trans does apply to me.
Tell me what Lush is.
Lush is home. Lush is a family of people that are friends, that accept you, that want to have fun and support you and celebrate each other and just be there for one another.
So I used to actually go to Lush a lot. And I just was there last Friday, just recently. And I remember seeing you walk across the bar and then going back into the room where people were performing. And I was overpowered by the amount of acceptance and freedom, and I guess I can even say love that existed. But it all starts with this this feeling that, who are you? Tell me who you are, as opposed to, I'm assuming this.
And it's so respectful. It's so nice. It's so relieving because you know that they respect you. They're not gonna assume something and run with it. They're gonna be respectful of your wishes, regardless of how you present yourself, regardless of their opinion, because it's not about anyone else or anyone's opinion. You know, it's just about you and how you identify or how you present that day.
And in the queer community, there still can be a lot of assumptions and judgment. And when I was at Lush on Friday, I saw what you're describing. So here's my question for you. Yeah. If you could tell me how your day would change if you could feel the way that you feel at Lush everywhere else that you go.
Oh, wow. If I felt the way that I feel at Lush everywhere, like, yeah, my anxiety would completely dissipate.
Off camera, you had talked about when people first started asking you what pronouns you use. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, so I was at Lush, and my good Judy, Spirit Angel Fish, she was the first person to ask me what my pronouns were. And it took me back just because I've never been asked that before at that point. And my instant reaction was, oh, I'm a girl. But I was in drag, so everyone was calling me he. So, and then I thought about the fact that I feel very comfortable with both. It was right after my performance, and it was one of the first times that anyone had used a masculine pronoun for me. It was Victoria DeVille. She came up right after my very first drag performance, and she said, "You, sir, are awesome." And that will always really resonate with me because it felt so comfortable, and I was taken back by it. I was not expecting that. So when I answered them, I said that I use all pronouns. I use he, I use she, and they, them is something that's comfortable for me.
What message would you have for other people who are questioning their gender identity?
I would say that you do not have to decide on anything ever. You do not have to choose forevermore. Just like your taste buds change every 7 years, your gender might change from day to day, and that's okay. Or your gender might change after 20 years of feeling one way because something happened to you and it affected you, and you're allowed to change. You want to change. You should change. You're growing. So don't ever feel like you have to decide on any one thing, and nobody can do that for you. And
Is there anything else you personally would want to say to anyone listening or to the community?
I guess to the community everywhere right now, I just want to say thank you for not crumbling under the circumstances that we're under right now. The only option is to bind together even more, and I am definitely seeing that the across the line. It seems that while there's a lot of controversy going on and a lot of discussions going on, we just really have bound together, like in this time. So I think that's our only option, and that's what we're gonna keep doing.